What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman. You would think, as Marvel fans with almost 4 full years worth of content crammed into the next 24 months, that we would be satisfied, but of course, we're still chomping at the bit to find out what's coming in Phase 5, especially when Phase 5 contains new characters like the Fantastic Four and maybe even the beginnings of the X-Men. Now, it's not a coincidence that in the last week alone, we've heard about 4 new Phase 5 movies, 3 of which have been sent to production, one of which has changed a little bit in how they're referring to it over at Marvel Studios, and we're going to get to that. But it's absolutely not a coincidence that we've heard about that this week, especially considering something that just happened over at Marvel Studios. And no, I'm not referring to the promotion to CEO for Kevin Feige, even though just adding that title and moving the TV stuff under him is really not a huge change. We're going to get to what happened recently, why we're starting to hear about the Phase 5 movies, and then break down every movie we know that we're getting in Phase 5, including the 4 specifically reported on this week, as well as some of the other rumored ones that have a really good chance. But first, if you could grab the subscribe button, we're giving away 2 PlayStation 4 Pros, as well as a whole slew of other Marvel related stuff, including copies of Avengers Endgame in Blu-ray and DVD again this month. We've got a couple more. All you have to do, hit the subscribe button, then hit the notification bell, leave a like and a comment on this video, and if you want, stick around to the end of the video. We'll get into all the giveaway stuff again there. So whether or not you follow sites like mine exclusively, you may have noticed the rumblings this week of a bunch of movies being sent to production, some of which we hadn't been talking about at all for the last 6 months. It all started with Ryan Reynolds teasing this picture of meeting with Marvel Studios earlier in the week, followed by an immediate report that Deadpool 3 would soon be sent to production, eyeing a 2022 release date. It also seems fair to mention that Marvel Studios may have tipped Ryan Reynolds as to some of their plans earlier in the year, as on that same social media account just 2 or 3 months back, he made hints of a Phase 5 debut for Deadpool. Now, just yesterday, we had the report that Ant-Man 3 would actually be sent to productions. They found out that Pym Particle Productions 3 LLC was formed just over a month ago, and if you've heard the rumblings around Ant-Man, they didn't even know if they were going to do a 3rd installment of this franchise. That came from Kevin Feige himself. There were even rumors that this was to be sent to Disney Streaming Plus as a possible TV show, but I think it makes a lot of sense from the standpoint of where the franchise already is to leave it on the big screen, and it seems as though Marvel Studios has come to the very same conclusion. Now, this week as well, we also heard that Captain America 4 had been sent to production from a lot less reliable sources, but still that they would be doing a 4th installment of this franchise with Anthony Mackie taking the lead once he had finally earned his mantle on the TV series that we're getting at the end of 2020. And then as well, they started referring to Black Widow as a franchise instead of a standalone movie. This, in her most recent interview, Scarlett Johansson seemed to implying this may be kicking off a whole Black Widow trilogy. Now, of course, with her character already being dead in the MCU, this really does beg the question as to whether Marvel would want to wade into the territory of doing all prequel franchises. But I think it makes sense from her standpoint, the character being so embedded in the original Avengers and really drawing a through line into some of the future events, if they're able to use her story, her time in between what we've already seen on screen, to build out any of the things that are going to happen in Phase 5, 6, and 7. It's going to feel a lot more connected to the earlier parts of the MCU. Basically, I'm for it. Now, in the prologue to this video, I mentioned we started hearing about all of these Phase 5 productions this week because of something that specifically happened over at Marvel Studios, and it wasn't the promotion of Kevin Feige to Chief Creative Officer. In my opinion, that just doesn't change much. It's literally Kevin Feige just doing what Kevin Feige does, except with more franchises and more platforms. Sure, does it move him a little further up the ladder towards becoming Bob Iger at Disney one day? Maybe, but for now, it's just a bigger workload for Kevin Feige and more of the same. What specifically happened was their huge Phase 5 retreat, or where they get together once a year, go for a huge camp out, and talk about what they want to do with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, it's impossible to know who was included on this year's trip, considering the Russos have played such a prominent role, and to be honest, they may have been invited back for this. It's hard to see how anyone who wasn't already in the inner circle of this would voluntarily skip one of these meetings. They have their hands full, but they've already admitted in their most recent interviews, the Russos that is, that they're ready to come back to Marvel. And when you pair that with their earlier musings of wanting to do maybe a Fantastic Four, a Wolverine movie, maybe even the next Avengers installment, you could see easily why they would want to be there. Now, speaking of the next Avengers installment, we haven't heard anything about that. Of course, my most famous saying here at the channel is there's no way they're going to let that go. We will get another Avengers movie. You don't make something the most popular brand in the world and then let it die. I say it at least once a week. And considering we now have 5 movies we know we're probably getting in Phase 5, when you add officially Black Panther to kick it all off in the beginning of 2022, that leaves 4 or 5 movies movies over the next year or two after that to complete this Phase 5, if you consider they're going to do 10 movies like Phase 4, and I think it's pretty easy to guess what those might be. Now, we know that we're going to get a Fantastic Four installment, considering Kevin Feige would have never said that and then left us waiting through a whole nother phase to get them in the MCU. We also know they've been prioritized over the X-Men. We also know that some people are due a sequel like Captain Marvel, but considering how long Doctor Strange has had to wait between his first and second installment, there's no promise that Brie Larson's going to get a sequel during Phase 5. More likely, Tom Holland's Spider-Man's crossover movie needs to be included, considering how quickly those movies need to be made so they can turn the contract over with the solo movie coming once every 2 years. If we get Spider-Man 3 in the beginnings of 2021, then it should be only 2 years after that we get the crossover movie he's promised to be in. Now, whether that crossover movie is the first Fantastic Four movie or the next Avengers movie, which we've heard nothing about, and I think is probably more likely the case, then that's the next movie we can throw on the slate. Meaning, if you start with Black Panther 2 as the only confirmed movie for 2022 at this point, add the next 4 movies that were reported on this week, do a new Avengers installment and a Fantastic Four, then the next movie we definitely have to add to the slate in the 8th slot is Guardians of the Galaxy 3, as it's all but confirmed James Gunn getting to work as soon as he finishes Suicide Squad, and considering how much work this has to do in building out Adam Warlock and his role in the next phase, they're going to get to that movie and right soon. Now, considering another character like Nova could easily be tied to Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and all the rumblings of his solo movie being sent to production, on top of the possibility with him crossing over into the Young Avengers, and not to mention how well his power set is better suited for the cosmic side of the MCU that's set to play so prevalently in these next couple of phases, I think Nova's got the best shot of scooping up the 9th slot, leaving the final movie to be announced in Phase 5 with our best guess, of course, Blade, officially announced with the Phase 4 San Diego Comic-Con announcement, but with no release date in sight and still not announced for Phase 5. They're going to release this movie sooner than later. There's no way they're announcing this title and with a logo and then pushing it all the way out to Phase 6. And considering some of the more recent news about this being one of the first franchises from the MCU outside of Spider-Man to possibly cross over into the Spider-Verse over at Sony, or maybe the first movie where they start merging the two, as Morbius actor Tyrese Gibson, set to play an FBI agent hunting down Morbius, implicated that his contract was not only for Sony Studios, but then for future movies, 3 to be exact, that would cross over with the MCU. Now, we've yet to verify that, and Marvel hasn't commented on that at all. Of course, if that's the plan, they're going to want to keep that secret, but it would make a lot of sense for Blade to cross over with Morbius. They are all in the same realm. He is the living vampire. You definitely need vampires when there is Blade, and if Spider-Man's going to cross over, it's possible they could cross him back over. If this movie is set to do that, then it makes a lot of sense they would want to get to that sooner than later in Phase 5. Now, the only question that really begs is, what other movies do they have in the bag, and when are we finally going to get an X-Men movie? Deadpool could be the first of the quote-unquote mutants to make it on screen, and they've already said about retconning how mutants are going to be introduced. A lot of people have guessed, myself included, that a Celestial may be involved, and we may actually start to see some of that during the Eternals movie that's set to come out next year. There's a lot of gamma radiation that's been set into the universe given the snap, and we've learned that that may have unlocked some latent genes in people like Scarlet Witch when she came into her interaction, Captain Marvel as well, with Infinity Stones. But mutants don't answer a lot of questions like how they're going to introduce the Silver Surfer, which has also been rumored to have his own solo movie in production over at Marvel Studios, and when they plan on building out any of the villains for the next phase, perhaps Doctor Doom again getting his own solo film. These were things that were rumored, but we're going to have to wait and see to find out. I think the movies that we named during this video definitely take prevalence and have a much better chance of being released, especially the ones reported on this week. Deadpool 3 will be coming as soon as they can get him into the MCU. He's a huge franchise, and he doesn't want to wait another 2 or 3 years to do his next movie, as well as that Spider-Man crossover movie. They can't wait too long on that, solely based on the contractual constrictions. Guys, let me know what you think in the comments about all of this, if you agree or disagree with any of these movies, if you feel that some of the ones reported on this week have a better chance of showing up further on down the road. Just because they sent Ant-Man to production now doesn't mean they plan on cramming him into Phase 5, although I will say Marvel has set the precedent of sending movies to production and then filming rather quickly afterwards, as these movies having to work together in a phalanx kind of dictate when and how they come out. Either way, let me know what you think in the comments about all of this, and quickly let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. Alright, we're still giving away 2 PlayStation 4 Pros, the next of which is at the 500,000 subscriber mark. We're headlong into that. All you have to do, hit the subscribe button, then hit the notification notification bell, leave a like and a comment on this video. It'll automatically enter you to win the rest of the prizes we announce here at the channel. Soon we'll be announcing 2 Infinity Saga box set limited editions. Those things are even more expensive than the PlayStations. We're setting some new rules for that, but it'll all be the same. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, leave a like and a comment on this video. It'll automatically enter you to win all of the prizes, and because it's truly random, the more videos you like and comment on, the better chance you have of winning. My name's Michael Roman. This is Everything Always. Guys, thanks for checking out the channel, and stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.